And thank goodness we record these meetings, so I have to go back and watch it probably several times to get the report accurate. But that's okay. Are we
Okay, we are live, so you may start.
all right, guys. So welcome to a joint committee meeting between zoning and youth services. This is a big one, and the last time we had a meeting in regard to this was actually March 18th, 2019. So that's a little while ago. But the CB10, we supported the motion, and we asked for the following, and we wrote a letter to the SLA, and we asked for this, that a task force would be established to create a traffic plan focusing on traffic control device installation, traffic violation enforcement and parking. 2, that the New York City Council change the administrative code of the City of New York that allows school buses to park on the street near a school overnight, eliminating parking spaces on these already congested residential streets. The SCA will be requested to return to the community board every 3 months to discuss the design of the school, which of course is where the Nathans is. That's where we're talking about right now, on the corner of 86th and 7th Avenue. The SCA be requested to return to the community board every 3 months to meet to discuss the design, brick style, appropriate facade, and with respect to the needs and concerns of the surrounding neighbors. 4, that a plan for refuse storage be created inside the building. And finally, that the SCA coordinate construction work hours with the other projects that will be in progress in the area, and to restrict noise and other obtrusive work necessities, stage lights, to daytime hours. So this meeting in particular is to discuss the design. There will be presentations by the School Construction Authority, and our review should focus specifically on design issues 3 and 4. Yes, and we can review number 4, and I can go back whenever you guys need me to repeat what those are. I can go back and do that. So I know we have some reps here, and I would say again, thank you everybody. I know we have a full crowd tonight, and I'm sure we'll have lots to discuss. But I leave you in the capable hands right now of the SCA coordinator, Steve Gonzalez. Steve, that's your cue.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, again, Anthony, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of the School Construction Authority, my name's Steve Gonzalez. I'm Project Support Manager for the SCA for South Brooklyn. And I want to thank, again, the joint committees of Real Estate, Youth Services, Education for sponsoring this meeting tonight. Of course, we're talking about the former Nathan site design presentation by our architectural engineering team. As you mentioned, referred to before, Anthony, this address is 650 86th Street on the corner of 7th Avenue and 86th. It's opposite the dog trails and the Dyker Beach Golf Course on the 7th Avenue side. And on the Battery Avenue side, Battery Street side, Battery Avenue side, there's residential.
Mm-hmm.
So having said that, I would like to introduce our SCA architectural and engineering team. Maria Gomez, Jahe Ku, Jumsan, Jinti Lee, and Ashley Riley. Ashley Riley will be sharing the screen, Josephine. So
yes, everyone, she has permission. I've given permission to all.
I also have, I hope he's still on, is Ramsadar Dinarayan. He's from our deputy chief for Brooklyn. And Mike Mirasola from External Affairs. He's director of External Affairs for the SCA. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jahe Ku. Jahe?
Steve, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jahe Ku. I'm a managing architect at New York City School Construction Authority. Thanks again for having us here tonight. The design team and I are here to present the intermediate school IS 332 here at Dyker Heights in Brooklyn on 86th Street between 7th Avenue and Battery Avenue. This school, are we presenting? Is everyone seeing the screen?
No, we're not seeing the screen yet.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Okay,
There,
here we go.
It's starting up. There we go. Yep.
Oh, there we
see
go.
it now.
Okay, here we go.
So this school will be a standalone 5 stories high and will provide seating for 550 students from 6th to 8th grade. The building will consist of administrative, classrooms, specialized instruction spaces such as art, music, science, a library, a cafeteria, and a kitchen, gymatorium, and an outdoor play yard. The entire school site is within a commercial district. Next slide, please. This is an area map showing our site in red dot. Our school is located here in the red dot, close to the border of Bay Ridge. And here is the Interstate 278 and the Barrels Bridge to the left. And to the right is the open Diker Beach Golf Course. And as Steve mentioned, if you're a dog lover like me, there's a Diker Beach dog run right to the right side of our school site. Next slide. So this is the photo of the existing site taken from the 86th Street. The site currently has a 1-story high fast food restaurant, Nathan's Hot Dog. Next slide. This is a photo taken from the corner of our site at 86th and 7th Avenue. And you can see at the back of our site is a 4-story high apartment building, which we'll talk more of in the future slides. Next slide. This is a photo taken along the 7th Avenue looking down. And to the right is our school site. And to the left of the picture is the Diker Beach Park and the dog run. And this is the side where parents will be typically dropping off their children in the morning and then picking up their children. Next slide. This photo is taken looking back at 86th Street from 7th Avenue, and you can see the gas station across. Next slide. This photo is taken at the corner of our site, and you can see the 2-story high residential building and the 4-story high apartment building that I spoke of prior to. Next slide. This is a photo of the Diker Beach Park on 7th Avenue across from the site. Next slide. This is the photo taken from the 7th Avenue and closer to the 88th Street now, south of that block. And you can see the 3-story high residential buildings with the brick facades. Next slide. This is the photo taken now on 88th Street. And you can see a mixture of 3 stories and 4-story high buildings here. In the middle of the block of the 88th Street, which is the back of our lot, is a 4-story high building. And this is a Shippo building in Tudor Revival style. And on the later part of the presentation, Jumi will talk more about this and how it became a source of our inspiration for our building facade. Next slide. This is now a photo taken back on the 86th Street, looking onward. And you can see the range of buildings from 3 stories to 7 stories high, apartment buildings with the retails below at the street level. Next slide. Another view on the 86th Street with the neighboring buildings of brick facade with the cornice treatment on the top of the building that's continuous with punched openings along the facades. Next slide. This is the view along the Battery Avenue with the gas station across the street. And from here on, I'm going to pass it on to Jumi, where she's going to discuss more about the neighboring building and how it informed our own facade designs.
Hello, my name is Jumi Song. I'm one of the architects on the project team. So our design approach was to be mindful of the building's context, looking at the surrounding buildings in the neighborhood as a source of inspiration to ensure that our building will be a respectful addition to the area. The 4-story Tudor Revival style residential building at the back of our school that Jahe had mentioned was built in 1929 and is recognized by the New York State Historic Preservation Office to be an example of pre-war apartment design. We took note of the brick articulation of the facade, the stone entrance arch, decorative cornice, and parapet at the roofline, and the use of various materials to highlight different areas of the building. Next slide, please. Here is a perspective view of our school from the corner of 86th Street and 7th Avenue. The main entrance along 86th Street is set back from the sidewalk, creating an open and welcome environment for students to congregate as they enter the school. The school is easily accessible via public transportation with a city bus route along 86th Street, as well as a subway entrance within walking distance. Students can also ride their bikes as there is plentiful indoor and outdoor bike storage. They can also be dropped off along 7th Avenue, as Jahe mentioned earlier, and enter through the play yard entrance. We believe that the school is a good fit within the context of the neighborhood. Its main facade along 86th Street ties in well with the brick 3- and 4-story buildings across the street, with a continuous band of punched openings, a blend of thin brick in various tones, patterns, and textures, complementing the neighborhood, pronounced window frames, and a robust cornice. Jin-Hee Lee will talk more in detail about the site plan and the floor plans of the school.
Good evening, this is Jin-Hee Lee, architect for K322 projects. Intermediate school building volume is located near intersection of 86th Street and Battery Avenue. Play yard is positioned close to Dogwood Parks along 7th Avenue. And school building has main entry on the 86th Street. And there is another entry to the building to the right side of the building facing play yard. And proposed parents drop-off and pickup location will be along 7th Avenue. And students can enter the building through the play yard gates on the 7th Avenue. And students using the public transportation can utilize the entry to the 86th Street. Also, we have bike racks inside the vestibule. We also have outdoor bicycle racks next to the entry to the building and the play yard. Next slide. Intermediate school building is designed for the capacity of 550. And then we have 18 regular classroom from grade 6 to 8. Also, we have 2 special education classroom and 1 reading research room and 1 reading speech research room. We also have specialized instruction spaces such as art classroom, music classroom, science lab with prep room. We also have physical education spaces such as a gym on the top floor. Also, we have outdoor play yard that is approximately 8,700 square feet. And exercise room is also located on the 2nd floor. We have large public assembly spaces such as cafeteria with a kitchen on the 1st floor and gymnasium that is multi-purpose room with a stage on the top floor. Also, we have library, student support spaces such as the guidance suite and medical suite and parents community room. And we also have admin suite office, including teachers' workroom and staff lunchroom. Next slide, please. We have partial cellar close to 86th Street, away from the neighboring building. On the south, on the cellar, we have electrical and plumbing equipment spaces, custodian office and storage spaces and locker room. Also, we have bike user shower area with the lockers and the cellar for bike user. Next slide, please. On the first floor, building footprint is approximately 12 feet setback in the entryway. And then we have 20 feet wide sidewalk on 86th Street. The whole building is accessible and elevator is provided throughout the building for accessibility. Also, 2 sets of stairs are provided either side of the building for circulation. And as you can see on the right side, you'll see main circulation stairs near lobby and play yard. On the main floor, we have large public assembly space, such as cafeteria with a kitchen on the south part of the building. And admin office suite is provided on the left side, facing 86th Street. Also, we have parents' community room next to the admin office suite. Also, we have separate refuse recycle room, collecting, compacting, and storing garbage for the building on the left side of the building, facing Battery Avenue. So they have a separate entry, the exit door to the Battery side. Also, kitchen has separate service entry from Battery Avenue. Next slide, please. From second, third, fourth floors, typical classroom layouts are very similar, and 4 classrooms are located facing 86th Street. And we have 1 regular classroom on the left side and then 1 regular classroom on the right side facing play yard. Also, we have secondary corridor from main corridor leading to specialized spaces such as exercise room, music classroom on the second floor. Also, we have reading resource room off from the secondary corridor. For supervision of the floor, we have staff lunchroom and guidance office suite. Next slide, please. On third floor, we have 6 regular classrooms similar to second floor. Also, we have 1 special ed classroom and 1 speech resource room. For specialized instruction space, we have library and art classroom at the end of the secondary corridor. For supervision of the floor, we have supervisor office next to stair A. Next slide, please. On the fourth floor, we have 6 regular classroom and 1 special ed classroom similar to lower floors. Also, we have a science lab and prep room located at the end of the secondary corridor. For supervision of this floor, we have step workroom. Next slide, please. On the top floor, we have gymnasium with a stage for multifunction. Also, we have supporting space related to gym, such as locker, storages, and gym instructor's office. Gym can accommodate 362 persons. Also, we have dividing partition in the middle of the gym. So when dividing partition is closed, the half gym can handle 181 person each. Also, south half gym can be utilized as auditorium function with a stage. The telescoping bleacher seating can be pulled out close to the stage and can accommodate 190 persons, including wheelchair spaces. Also, stage can handle approximately 29 persons. Next slide, please. On bulkhead level, we have mechanical boiler room, elevator machine rooms. So this space can be only accessed from access for maintenance personnel and custodial staff. So this level has access to row roof also. Next slide, please. On the main roof, we have mechanical equipment and photovoltaic panels to meet local load. And we also have access pathway for permanent personnel. And we have also access pathway for maintenance personnel as well. So these PV panels can generate approximately 32 kilowatts. They can support the power for the lighting during summertime. I believe this is the end of the slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Jinhee. We're very excited about the proposed 322K at District 20. As the team illustrated, the proposed building with a blend of thin brick with a gentle setback along 86th Street complements the neighborhood. We incorporated bicycle racks inside and outside the school to promote healthy initiatives to reduce demand for motor vehicles. The photovoltaic panels on the roof will provide renewable energy for the building, as Jinhee has mentioned. And the open schoolyard on the east side blends well with the open Diker Beach Park across the street. This concludes our architectural presentation. I'm going to hand this back to you, Steve.
All right. I now turn it over. As Jahi mentioned, the fact that we took into account of, we know that 86th Street is a busy thoroughfare. It was mentioned at the last community board meeting that we met about a year and a half ago. So that's why you have the parent drop off and pick up over on the 7th Avenue side. And we also have the setback of the main lobby on the 80th Street side. I know another concern, which as it's been mentioned several times by the A&E team, the fact of blending in the architecture of the new 5-story building with the existing buildings in the neighborhood. So they took that very much into consideration. So with that, I'll turn it to you, Anthony, if there are any questions.
Sure, yeah. So thank you so much for that presentation. And we're going to open it up to committee members for questions. So if you could either, I guess, use the raise hand function on there, if you could, or Josephine, if you see who has a hand up. You're muted.
Me?
No, Josephine.
No. So we have Doris Cruz and then Julie Thumb.
Sure. Hi, Doris.
Hi. For 6th grade, if there are enough students who live more than a mile away from the school, they are entitled to bus service. I don't know what your catchment range will be, but where would you anticipate that? And I'm assuming some of the special ed kids might need bus service. How would that be handled?
Jahi?
Our understanding is that the special district is not a special education district 75 is not assigned to this school. However, if we need to accommodate bus stops, I think we can look at, for instance, the 7th Avenue side where we had mentioned we can have the bus stop there where they can have an ease of entrance through the schoolyard.
Thank you.
Okay, Julie Thumb.
That was actually one of my questions. Thank you, Doris. But the other question I had was, when do you expect completion of the project, number one? And then number two, the parking that's going to be eliminated along 7th Avenue and other places, what is going to be done to provide for residents or people in the area who are going to the shopping and the golf course, et cetera, for extra parking?
I'll try to answer that. First of all, the anticipated occupancy date of this school is September 2024. The parking situation, the DOT will have the responsibility of determining in terms of parking restrictions around the perimeter of the building from the Battery Avenue side all the way around the 86th to the 7th Avenue side. And they won't determine in terms of the parking situation until later on and towards the end of the project.
Right. So I just want to add to that, Steve, that, following the last meeting, Councilman Brannan did reach out to the Department of Transportation.
Sure.
I know that, the concern right now is that because the building is not yet constructed, they are going to, determine bus space, bus allocations and other, transportation needs as we get closer. Typically, if there is school bus, need for drop-off spaces, it's usually, a set time is no standing 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's typical. That has varied from school to school. So that comes closer, Julie, to, as the school gets ready to open.
That is correct. Thank you, Josephine.
And so next we have Steve Harrison and then Ann Flutico.
Hi, Steve. I'm Steve Harrison.
We've met before. How you doing, Steve?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
Two questions, both having to do with sound. The Battery Avenue side, does that have homes near it?
Yes, there are homes. There's homes directly behind the building, and I believe there are one or two homes opposite the building on Battery. Of course, I think you have that closed down, I think a gas station or so.
Yeah, right.
Right.
The reason I'm asking is because I see that the music room was going to be on that side. Having lived next to a place, a school that had a band, I will tell you that they're not exactly the Boston Pops, you know what I mean? And I was wondering if there's any way you could maybe move it to the 7th Avenue side on that particular floor, if you could redesign that. That way there would not be any kind of a disturbance whatsoever.
Okay.
Just a
Perhaps
thought.
this is Mike Mirasolo from the SCA. Perhaps our architects can speak to the acoustics. In our new schools, we don't build windows that open generally, and the acoustics are much different in an old building as they are in a new building. So perhaps our architects can discuss the acoustics and how we build our buildings.
Jay?
Yes, so the windows that we're specifying for this building is double glazed, and it will accommodate the acoustics nature of it as well as the thermal nature to keep the sound insulated. And also there are lower buildings along the Battery side that are close to our school site. So there isn't going to be a direct elevation relationship between the two. So the sounds, and especially the facade of the residential building that faces our school site, there are no windows there. So I don't believe there will be any concern for transference of sound.
Do the music rooms also get built with like acoustic panels or any consideration to dampen for the inside of the building nowadays as well?
Our SCA's school design guidelines.
Okay.
Because we also are concerned with sound transferring between classrooms to classrooms.
So the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the second question I had, again relating to sound, this is Steve again,
Sure.
is that I noticed that the gymnasium is on top of classrooms, or at least a few. Is there a sound issue with respect to the classrooms if they're playing basketball right above them?
No, we actually have a special detail for our flooring so that sound is not transferred to the classrooms below.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I think Dean had.
Okay. Ann was next and then Dean. And
Okay.
then Robert Oliva.
I'm sorry to start with an unproductive comment, and that is that I continue to feel that this is a poor site for the school. And I know that that is not something we're discussing tonight, but wouldn't feel true to my thinking and my job on this committee not to reiterate that comment. It's congested. It is sort of an arterial street from the BQE to the Verrazano. It is crowded with a vacant lot. However, I won't dwell on that. I do want to mention some specific comments with respect to the building. With respect to the context and the respect for the Tudor apartment building, just to be clear in my own mind, the mechanisms for this were the brick materials up to the 4th floor, and then the change of material so that you observe a datum, if you will, against the brick buildings across the street. Was that the context, Gesture? Architects.
Jay,
Want to answer that, or do you want me?
Is that correct? Was that the context, neighborhood context?
Took into consider the datum line as the building material and the texture changes from the street level to the mid level and then to the cornice with the big band.
Okay.
We also took into consideration how the building facades within the community have punched openings. We played with that, and also at the top panel, you'll see the punched openings for the gymatorium where it's sculpted, so that we are playing with also the changes in the day, the sun move across the facade, so that you will experience different light level and the shading throughout the day.
Okay. With respect to the streetscape, is there any possibility of setting back the upper level of the gymnasium at the penthouse level?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, is there any chance of your setting back the street wall at the penthouse level, which I believe is the upper level of the gymnasium?
The building is set back from the property line as much as we can.
But only at the first floor.
Are you talking about from the 86th Street side?
Yes, I'm talking about at the 86th Street side. Would it be possible to pull the penthouse level, the upper level of the gymnasium face, back on 86th Street?
Right now, the lot is very tight. In order to fulfill the program requirements that we have, I believe we've used the site and the undulation of the building to our maximum capacity without sacrificing our program requirements. So I'm afraid that to answer your question another way, if I was to set back the gymatorium, we won't have enough, we won't be able to accommodate the square footage that we need for the students at 550.
Okay, I have 3 more questions, Josephine, is that okay?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. Your 3-dimensional drawing, the position from which it's drawn shows the open yard as pretty expansive. But when you look at the plan, what is actually the dimension of the open yard from 7th Avenue, from the 7th Avenue side relative to the overall length of the building? So what is the distance from 7th Avenue to the side building face?
Setback, Ginny, do you have those dimensions? I know you have the square footage.
I'm wondering the dimension of the open yard along 86th Street.
So I'm opening the CAD drawing right now to measure that distance. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Next is you have a school of 550 people. And I think we have to accept the reality that the few cars that can be accommodated on 7th Avenue are not going to handle 550 students. So we must accept the reality that 86th Street is going to be congested by cars dropping off and picking up. That's just a fact. And I think that needs to be acknowledged in this group. And working down to the most specific of my questions, the entry to the school from the 7th Avenue side, why didn't you put the stair as discrete from the lobby like you did on stair B? Stair A, the entry is open to the stair. Would you talk a little bit about that from a design standpoint of the plan? Am I not clear?
No, I'm not clear. Maybe
Okay, stair A, when you come in from the open yard side of the school, you're actually coming into the stair hall on the first floor.
yes.
I'm wondering why, or if that is why you made that choice versus making a discrete vestibule there. Because it does not feel, you presented it as a secondary entrance, but it doesn't feel like an entrance in the plan. It feels like you're coming into the stair hall.
This is the side entrance from the schoolyard is to serve as for operational needs. The main public entrance is along the 86th Street side.
But the drop-off entrance is from the 7th Avenue side, I think you said.
Pardon?
I believe that you presented that the 7th Avenue entrance from the open yard was where you expect a good number of students to come in from the drop-off point.
Up.
But there really is no lobby there.
Right. There is one single main public entrance vestibule is from the 86th Street side.
Okay, thank you.
Just before you go to Dean, I just wanted to add, Ann, I know that you had shared prior, and I know tonight, in terms of this site feasibility for the school. I do want to point out that, as you probably know, and I think all of the members of the community board know, that District 20, unfortunately, is the highest seat need in the entire city. We have a real estate division that's constantly looking for sites through District 20, whether it's in Diker Heights or in Bay Ridge or Sunset Park or parts of Borough Park or Bath Beach or parts of Bensonhurst. And it has been, it's always constantly a chore. And I've had these discussions with Josephine in the past to try to find, suitable sites and proper sites for a new school. So it's always a challenge for us. So whenever we can purchase a property for a need for a school, we make every attempt to do so. As I said, District 20 has the highest need for seats because of the population demographics are constantly evolving and changing. And unfortunately, District 20 has the biggest need for seats in the entire city. Used to be District 20 and District 24 in Queens, but now it's District 20. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Thank
Dean?
Yeah, I have a few things. First, SBST Suite. What does that stand for?
That is for school-based student support.
Okay, thank you. So, Steve, your question about the gym, you must have been watching the commercial about the step dancers. No step dancing in this school. Don't worry. I don't know, Steve, if these two questions is appropriate for you, but two things. For the schoolyard, will that be available to the public after school hours?
That will be the determination of the school itself. The school will make that call.
Okay, and the second one I think is the same answer. For the stage area, our community would probably make very good use of that if it were available for rent, but I'm assuming that would depend on the administrator of the school.
That's great. It will depend on the principal of the school. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Dean.
Robert Oliva?
Thanks, Josephine, and thank you all for that very thorough presentation. As we're living in the new normal of COVID-19, I know that this plan was put forth in 2019 and moved forward since then. My question to you all is, have adjustments been made based on the needs to operate in a school building in light of COVID-19, proper filtration, things of that? When we think about design and we think about infrastructure, I think those are important things in light of COVID-19 to think about. So I just want to ask what adjustments have been made in anticipation of changes in code to ensure that there won't be additional investments that need to go into changing what that infrastructure could potentially look like in light of the coronavirus.
Let me take a quick stab at that, Steve. God willing, coronavirus, and we'll all be immunized by then, and it will be in the rear view mirror. But our new buildings do meet the best and highest standards for fresh air and air exchange. And I know our engineers on this presentation can elaborate if necessary. But you're in good shape with our new buildings.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Robert. Marissa Perez?
Hi, I'm sorry if this was already answered, but I had a question. Are school buses, just to clarify, and parents dropping off on 7th Avenue? Or is it just parents and school buses are on 86th Street dropping off?
For IS, I don't think we have bus drop-off location designated for school site yet.
Okay.
Generally, middle schools don't have bus drop-off. Occasionally, if a child has a special need or something, and there is no District 75 program here, so you won't have that issue in general. There might be
Gotcha.
a mini bus or something. As far as all of this and all of these drop-off issues and concerns will be addressed as we get closer with the Department of Transportation. When things fall into place, they like to do a walkthrough. And they like to establish what the parking issues will be, what the signage will be, what the drop-off, where the drop-offs will be. So in this case, we don't see a major impact with buses. And if there is some, we'll work that out with the DOT as we get closer. They don't really like to get into it this early. That's the way they operate.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'm still a little confused because of the two separate, following up with what Marissa was saying, you've identified two separate entrances, drop-off points, one on 7th Avenue and one on 86th Street. 86th Street being the main entrance. So when a student comes into a school, typically they come in, they have to show, ID, they're greeted. Will that be available on both sides? Or will children be dropped off at 7th and have to walk up to 86th Street to enter the building? I think I'm still confused by that, if someone could clarify that.
It really is going to come down to what the individual school wants to do and feels works for them. As you said, the general procedure is children come in and everyone enters through the main entrance because that's where security is. If, as I've seen 100 times in the past, a school feels that they want to take, say, certain classes, or let classes queue up in the yard beforehand, so the kids will hang out in the yard, teachers will go out there, greet the kids. The teacher will be at the back door, let the kids in that way. And then that door will probably be closed the rest of the day. If this, and I can't really speak to how this particular principal will run his or her school, but that's generally the way it works.
If I may add to what Michael just stated, we've introduced a side entrance to address some of the concerns that was brought up in terms of the heavy traffic along the 86th Street. So at the end, it will be dependent on the principal in terms of how they're going to operate the school. But we provided the flexibility in the design so that the security desk can monitor the entrances on the side street. Should there be a need to provide side entrances instead of the main entrance on 86th Street side.
I think the concern there, to just sort of drill the point home, is the main entrance being on 86th Street, every parent is going to drop their kid off to the main entrance of the school. That's sort of like the default. I'm going to take my child to the main entrance. And I think even though there's the entrance on 7th Avenue, is there going to be a delineation to be like, no, this is the drop-off zone, not the main entrance? I think that's, and I think, Anne, you were trying to allude to that a little bit too, because you were saying, it's just a stairway. There's no vestibule. There's no lobby. So what is there to sort of entice a parent to drop them off on the 7th Avenue side as opposed to the main entrance of the building? I think I'm trying to condense everyone's point into one single thing. Is that just school based? How we're going to use that stairway entrance, or is there a design thing that can happen?
It's school-based, and I'm sure the community will have some input there, and parents will as well. But this, we build the schools; they use them. We wouldn't be so, I wouldn't be so pretentious as to think that I would tell somebody, an educator, how to run their school. We can make suggestions. We can make it easy. We can make it function. We can give them options. But at the end of the day, it's going to be their call.
Is there ever a sort of a pretense, or is there to have a secondary lobby? Like, could that stairway entrance be turned into some sort of a secondary lobby that
No, because then you would need a secondary security agent, because they have to pass through a school safety agent, and the school safety cannot, and I've never seen them assign to a school of this size a secondary entrance. But again, I have seen many times, very often, that they will bring in some children from one side, some children from the other. They'll have a print that depending on the grade level and how they run their school. It really is up to them. And that's something, when a principal is assigned, you might want to have a conversation with them about.
I would agree with Mike that I also have seen that in many schools, that they do have the drop off. They have the lineup and egress on the side of the school instead of through the main entrance.
Happens all the time.
It happens all the time. I've seen it.
I have a question.
Yes, surely.
Yes.
So you have an entrance on the 7th Avenue and 86th Street. So will they have like a door at the back of the building for the kids? If they walked in from 7th Avenue, they go inside the building through the back of the building. Like my school, we have 88th Street and 89th Street. So 89th Street, there's the main entrance. So there's students coming in from there, let's say 4th and 5th grade. And then on 88th Street, we have the kindergarten to 3rd grade coming in. And then there's a door on the back of the building for them to walk in.
Exactly, and that's what we have here.
You talk about PS 264?
Yes.
Yes, and that's what they've set up here. They're giving them some flexibility and some options by putting a back door in. Yes.
Yes.
Door.
Yeah.
Okay.
That school opened a couple of years ago, and you're right. There's an entrance in the back, and there's one inside. Yes. Yes.
So they probably have that too.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
I know if they have doors.
Yeah, Anne.
One more thing about this same topic. The principal really is going to have limitations about leeway about how to handle that 7th Avenue entrance, because you're coming into the stair hall. When you enter that door, you're in the stair hall that communicates throughout the whole building. So there's nothing of a vestibule on the 7th Avenue side. It's basically an egress.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to address that. Having spent time dropping grandchildren off at school, there's a main entrance which has a vestibule, and there are many other entrances. The one school I'm thinking of has 4 entrances. They use 3 in the morning. And the only ones without the vestibule is where the kids line up and the teachers take them in. So I think as a rule, there are not secondary vestibules. Right. And I want to reinforce for that a previous CB10 administrator, community school district 20 administrator said about concerns about drop off. Middle school kids don't want to go with their parents. They want their independence. They want to get there on their own. They're getting to be big kids. These are not toddlers. We have to remember that.
My daughter forced me to leave her a block from school. I followed her the last block anyway.
And if there are, and they need, in order to have bus service only for the 6th grade, they need to be able to fill the bus. If they don't fill the bus, there is no bus service.
Okay.
I have a question just maybe on like a bit of a lighter note too. For the playground, or the schoolyard, are there plans, or this maybe down the line, to have an actual like playground park situation that could be used not only by the students during the day, and I'm not sure if they do this for intermediate school. I know like to put like a handball court or things like that there. Is that part of the plan, or is it just going to be just like an open schoolyard? Is that something you guys, take into consideration now or later on?
We have something yet. We generally work this out with the school community as we get closer. Usually with middle schools, they like big open spaces, and maybe a basketball hoop and some lines, some track lines, or things like that. The lower levels would go in for the equipment. That would be an early childhood playground. So middle school kids really generally like to have just space.
Okay.
I believe I saw that the plan had baskets.
I saw that.
There's a good chance that basketball hoops are generally added to these. But again, when we get close, we work with the school to see what works best for them. Some communities love basketball, other communities that don't. So it's I don't know.
Question?
Ann?
Are you planning street trees on the 7th Avenue side in particular?
Good question.
Jahe,
Can you commit to street trees on the 7th Avenue side?
Yeah, we do have 3 street trees on 7th Avenue, 2 new street trees on 86, and then 3 new trees on Mary Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just looking. I don't see anyone else's hand raised for questions.
Nothing. Steve, Dean, no?
Actually, I do have a quick question. I'm sorry. So from a traffic and a safety standpoint, do you know what percentage, or will there be people that are children that are physically challenged? My concern is with children that have those needs that obviously would come with a bus, maybe with a wheelchair lift or something like that. You're speaking about then taking, it takes time the bus has to stop, they have to unload, they have to lower the wheelchair lift and all that. From a safety-ish, standpoint and time standpoint, if you have multiple buses like that or multiple children like that being dropped off, that would affect the whole traffic and safety pattern there. So that was a concern that I had and a question that I had. So.
And again, that'll be handled by DOT as we get closer to the opening of where drop off will be.
Yeah.
But of course, the school is fully accessible, so we can bring them in from many different points.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Anthony, we do have another question, Waging Leo. You just have to unmute yourself, Wei.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, tacking onto that safety issue, because I have a daughter who's actually in middle school, and I agree, totally agree, they want to be independent, and I know, if it's going to be a public school, a lot of the kids will be coming from the train station. And I noticed that there's like a bagel store across the street, like most of the shops that have food or snacks are across the street. So I'm just wondering, will there be any kind of safety measures put in place? Because crossing 86th Street is a main thoroughfare going to the BQE for morning drivers who are trying to run the light or, just be very hasty, and, God forbid there's any accidents. So I was just wondering if there's any kind of safety measures put in place.
Again,
for
this is
that.
something that as you get closer, DOT will walk through and adjust the lighting, adjust the lights, the timing, and make whatever changes they feel are necessary to make the intersection safe. So that's a conversation for them down the road. But yes, they're aware, and that's what they do.
There's a whole school safety division with the Department of Transportation Way. And
Mm-hmm.
also at the last meeting, we also spoke about the need for school crossing guards at this
Mm-hmm.
location.
Okay.
If I may also add, it was also brought to my attention by a local principal in the area that DOT has already been made aware of the issues with the terms of directional signals as such. So I know that they've already been petitioned.
Yeah, Councilman Brannan has already met with them on the issue as well. So.
Yeah. Mhm.
Can we talk about the refuse storage and garbage, and how I saw there was a plan there to keep it inside? What is that looking like? I know that was something we had a concern about.
Could we put that graphic up again, just so everyone can see the floor plan in that area? That might be helpful.
There it goes.
Thank you.
So it's the gray box that you see there along the Battery Avenue side. So we have a direct access in and out. And we actually met with the sanitary department in terms of coordinating with them so that we keep the refuse inside the building until there is a pickup available.
And is that a compactor that's in there or is it just, I'm not sure how that works exactly. Or is it just a garbage room?
We do have a compactor inside of refuse recycle.
Okay.
Thank you. Lori, did you have a question? You had your hand raised.
You're muted.
No, that was actually my question. I just wanted, we were talking so much about that first floor plan and I just wanted the visual on it. That's all. Thank you.
We're I'm sorry, another quick question was the buildings behind the proposed school, were they taken into consideration? I know there were windows there. Like, is the school going to be blocking anyone's current, gorgeous view of 86th Street right now or anything like that? I mean, I know it, then I'm the person who lives in that apartment and all of a sudden I'm staring at the classrooms. I'm just wondering if, there was consideration taken into the positioning of the actual building.
Yes, so there are no windows on the residential buildings facing our property. And with the exception of the Shippo building, and it's set back considerably. And we made a conscientious effort to set our building back as much as we can so that there isn't that kind of awkward relationship.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions regarding the design of the building or?
Doris, I see your hand is back up.
I just
Lori?
want to say the impact on the windows on the existing residential buildings would be an issue even for a straight commercial building allowed. So it's a standard issue that comes up all the time.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Lori?
One thing, I didn't introduce myself. I'm the chair of Community Board 10. Hi, for those of you who I didn't introduce myself to.
No problem.
Thank you. I have some noise going on in the house today. These are my son's headphones. He for his video games. Yes. They're great, by the way. But I just wanted to say, having seen the floor plan and heard the concerns, from Ann and some of the other members about that egress, There's a very similar layout actually at my son's school, PS 686, where they have, a doorway that goes into the common hallway, and then they have one main entrance. And what they do there is in the morning, the children come in through the front entrance, and at dismissal, they go out through that side entrance, sort of into the side school yard. But they do come in the morning, they do come in at the front entrance because of the security, because, they're only provided with a certain amount of security, but it is something that does work well. But as to traffic, that school does experience traffic on both sides of the building at the intersection. I just wanted to mention that with the floor plan, that I've seen that work before.
Thank you.
Great. Wei, did you have another question, or was your hand up from before?
No, I actually just noticed a quick, minor detail in the kitchen with that refuse area. I don't know if you can put that plan back up on the screen, but I noticed that there's two doors, one from the main corridor outside of the kitchen, and then one out to the street to Battery Place, I think. Is there not a door from the actual kitchen to the refuse area? Will they be taking the garbage outside to the main corridor where students and faculty are?
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hmm.
It looks like you can get out through the first floor corridor maybe and walk around, but
Is that ideal to bring garbage out that way to where everybody, where the staff and students are going to be passing by? Or I would think that there's a door directly from the kitchen just to kind of minimize any drippings or, just
Schlepping the stuff.
Yeah.
Good
reduce
question.
schlepping.
Good question.
Yeah.
We coordinate very closely with the Office of Foods and Foods, and this is the kitchen layout that's been approved with them. And I will bring up your concerns in terms of direct access from the kitchen to the garbage area, and we'll coordinate accordingly.
That's a good question. I think we should look into that. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Okay, no worries.
I like that one. That's good.
Would you be able to bring up excuse me, I'm sorry. Would you be able to bring up the building again as it sits on the property? Okay, so on the far side of the building, there's space there or there's no space there? The far side that we're looking at.
We need to
Bring up the site.
I think the site plan would be better, actually.
You're talking about the Battery Avenue side?
The back, like as we were just looking at the picture now. Okay, I'm just seeing that. Okay.
Battery Avenue, yes.
Oh, we lost it. There you go. Not much. Just
Okay, not much. The reason why I asked was I just had this afterthought of, consider with the drop off of seeing, was there any way to have some, not to use that word, it's the improper term, I'm sure, but like a circular driveway or a place where the cars could come in and then go back out, but I can see that that is not feasible.
Yeah, it's also
Like to go through the yard at the drop off time and the pickup time.
That's Scarsdale.
Well, it was just a thought, I thought if there was
That would
space.
be
and
wonderful. That would be
It
magnificent.
could be done. That's why I was asking. Okay, thank you.
That would be
No
terrific.
problem.
Anybody else? Josephine?
No, I don't see anyone. I guess we could take down the
shared screen, yeah.
share screen. Yeah, I just took it down. Let's see. Chair Willis, your hand is back up. Is that from before?
So I think we are going to open it up now, Josephine, right, to members of the public for questions.
Yeah, so there's one hand that's raised from, I think it's the public, but I'm not sure if it's Mohammed from State Senator Granardis's office. Hold on. Okay. Mohammed, I think you can speak now.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, am I clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're clear.
Okay. First of all, I want to introduce myself. I am Mohammed Rawashde. I'm a Director of Community Affairs at State Senator Andrew Granardis' office. And this is my first meeting with the CB10. And it was great learning about this new project. I knew the place. I've been there. I ate many times at Nathan's before. I know the area, so it's gonna be a great project. My main concern is the safety of student, especially the area is very I will see like there's many streets and avenues, and I think 86th Street it's heavy traffic, and it's close to the exit to the BQE or. So there is an exit and there is a heavy traffic street. And this is, I think, the main concern for me is how the Department of Transportation gonna implement safety measures to protect the students, especially they are in young age.
Again, Mohammed, I think that's been mentioned by Josephine and my colleague, Mr. Mirasola, that Department of Transportation, as we get closer towards the end of the project, that they will be taking into all the factors, comments that you've made and the comments that have been made by the community board, and that they'll come down to a decision in terms of traffic situation and safety there in the area.
I hope your office will be there with them to do that walkthrough. That would help.
Yeah. Yes, and there definitely will be, follow-up meetings as we get closer with our elected officials. Absolutely.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that looks like it. No other questions.
Oh, that was great.
I'm stunned. Doris, look, no questions. So this was informational. There is no we have nothing to vote on necessarily, unless someone wants to make a motion in regard of the design. So if I look to you guys, does anybody have anything they would like to add or make a motion towards the design? Nothing? Wow.
It was informational.
It was informational. It's all informational. So
thank you.
Perhaps you should make a motion though about the door that Way suggested go from the kitchen to the refuse area. I don't know.
You can make that.
I would like to
motion.
support that.
did you just, I think Julie, you just made that motion.
Okay, I'm making the
I think-
motion. I never made a motion before in this meeting. I'm so excited.
This is a good one.
I make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Okay.
Oh,
I second.
discussion, anybody? Or-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so-
think it's too specific a motion for a preliminary plan and would imply that we've reviewed the position of every door in the building.
I mean,
Okay, I take it back.
Well, look, you can rest assured that we are definitely going to look into it because it makes sense. It
Yes,
sounds like it
was
sounds
a
like a good
point.
idea.
It was a good point that was brought up, and our A&E team will discuss this with the sanitation and also with food services.
Right, and then Steve, you let me know so I can inform the board.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
all right. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming to the meeting. Josephine, thank you so much for all your help organizing everything. Steve, thank you to your team, Michael, everyone, all the architects. I have to make a motion, yes, to end the meeting.
So a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that, but before you make the motion,
sorry, yeah.
I'd like to, on behalf of the SCA, I want to thank them, our entire A&E team, our construction management team, and Mike, and everyone involved in the design and future implementation of this project, future school site, and for a great presentation. And thank you all for giving us the opportunity to present this tonight. You brought some very good insight and some very good questions and comments. So we do appreciate your participation on this project and future ones going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion.
Good night, everyone.
Yes, good night.
All right.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Lori, go play some video games.